Good morning, everybody. Good morning. If everybody would like to get to their tables, find their friends, or find people that you don't know and sit with them. We're going to start in about 3 minutes, so get your coffee, get some breakfast, find some friends. All right, everybody. Last chance to get a coffee. If everybody wants to sit down, we're going to commence day 2. So welcome back to day 2. My name's Sarah. I'll be your moderator for this morning's session. I'm an OT from Melbourne, so I am trying to speak very slowly and not to use too many Aussie colloquialisms. So welcome back to day 2. I'm really glad to see everybody back here in person, as well as everybody joining us virtually. And I know some of my colleagues are online at 3 o'clock in the morning, so go you guys. If you missed it, we had some fantastic presentations yesterday. So you'd be sure to look back at the recordings, share them with your friends, which shall be available on the Feedloop platform. Also, hope you're engaging in the Feedloop platform. Remember to text the people that you want to talk to. This conference, as you know from my very ad-lib discussion yesterday morning, the conference is all about connection with each other and with the community and those people living with ALS MND at the moment. They are at the centre of everything we do. This is part of the reason why the Alliance was the perfect fit to take over the leadership of the Patient Fellows program this year. Their program supports people with lived experience in attending the MND Association's International Symposium on ALS MND in person or virtually. They're also invited to the Allied Professionals Forum where we're here today, and I'm pleased to see quite a few people here today. People living with ALS and MND and their caregivers are the middle of our conversations. By bridging that gap between patients, healthcare professionals, researchers and other collaborators, we can accelerate progress towards effective treatments and hopefully ultimately a cure. I'd quite like to retire. I would also like to remind everyone of the raffle that's going on. Don't forget to buy your tickets, put them in the boxes in front of the prize that you want. We'll announce the winners at the lunchtime. If you can't take the things with you, you are welcome to just donate. Raffle will end at the end of this session. So you've got the morning break to get in and buy your tickets. All money raised will go towards Alliance programming that includes people with lived experience being funded to attend these events. The draw will be at lunchtime and the winner will be posted on a poster board outside at lunchtime. So thank you for that. Now on for the programming for today. To start off, we have a video from Eileen Butler to share on behalf of the Irish MND Association.
December 2022, I heard myself slurring some of my words. At first, no one else noticed, so I brushed it off. I had some weakness in my neck and put that down to my constant knitting and crocheting. As time went on, my speech got worse and people were beginning to notice it more. So I knew then something was really not right with me. Before I had MND, I was a full-time mother but taught knitting and crochet in a secondary school and at a retirement group. Now my energy levels aren't where they used to be, so my sisters come and help with housework. The kids do their bit too, and Joe also is trying to balance his work with home life too. I still have power in my hands and arms, so I can still enjoy my hobby. I am grateful every morning when I am able to get myself out of bed and get showered or dressed, although the latter two tasks are becoming a little difficult. I love my garden, but I unfortunately am not able to do as much in it as I used to.
When I was diagnosed with MND, it was devastating. With those few seconds where we found out that it was more than likely going to be MND, that sort of changed our lives forever. All the things we'd been working towards all of our life, all of our long-term plans were sort of gone forever. The IMNDA have been a great support. Anya was assigned as our nurse and has been a great support. And the IMNDA have also helped with the sound banking and also supplying the communication equipment that Eileen is now using to communicate with.
When somebody is diagnosed, we encourage them to register, and then our nurse will call out to them within 2 weeks, and we can see that they're set up, what they need, what their needs are, and just generally sit and listen, because they have lots of questions when they're just diagnosed. And we'll often call back in a couple of weeks and just give them time to digest what's been happening. Get their heads around it first, talk to their family, talk to their children. We're on that journey with them, we can move along with them.
Being there for the person with an MND is important, but also being there for their spouses and family is as important. Some people do not know how to deal with hearing their friends have been told they have a terminal disease, but they just need to stay in their usual routine of contacting them or visiting them. The one good thing about this disease is it has really made me aware of how precious life is. This disease came out of the blue. I was very healthy, non-smoker, drank very little, fairly active, and then boom, I now have a terminal illness. Yes, it is not fair and I'm angry, but feeling that way is not going to help me. So I now try and look at all the positives. I am still mobile. I can still drive, but not very far. I can do my hobbies and can put a meal on the table for my family. I know this illness is gradually going to take these things away from me, but I am hoping not for a long time. I still have more living to do.
I don't know how I'm going to talk after that video. I think the thing that she says about realising how precious life is something, especially as an OT, my job is all about helping people live. And I think every time I see a video like that, it makes me realise that's all I want to do. I want to help people live despite, having a condition that, as she said, was not something that was related to lifestyle or anything else. Anyway, now let's get started with the presentations. First up, we've got John Costello with AI for Good, partnering AI and voice banking companies to create on-device custom personal voice.
If we could start the video, please. I am delighted to be here to share this information on AI for Good, partnering with AI and voice bank industry to easily create on-device personal voice for people with ALS. I'm choosing to do this as a video because I did not want to lose time stopping and starting my many embedded videos and needing to rely on bothering the people from AV. I want to start by thanking every patient with ALS and their family, loved ones who've worked with us in clinic to explore the options I will describe. It has really been a rewarding partnership. So why focus on AI for Good? Since voice cloning has become more and more of a thing, there has been significant concern for several years now regarding potential nefarious use of voice. And I think we've all heard of deepfake and the concern with deepfake in videos. Back in 2020, as you see here, I'd been part of a panel at the invitation of the Federal Trade Commission, as they were specifically focused on understanding how or whether they should regulate the use of AI and voice cloning. At that time, there was a discussion of nefarious uses and legal implications, and I was able to speak about and show how video of custom voice creation for people who are at risk or who have lost their ability to speak could be used. I was told there was a shift from considering complete regulation to recognizing the importance of allowing well-managed and controlled access to voice cloning. So why currently is personal AI voice not sufficient for fully functional communication using an augmentative communication device or software? AI voice used for in-the-moment communication currently on speech-generating devices requires strong and reliable cell service while communicating. The cloud processing that is done often has a time lag for those novel messages, although I believe that seems to be getting better as time goes on. Here's an example.
I'm creating this as an example of creating a brief novel message with strong Wi-Fi. It is pretty fast, but has
a bit of a delay, but it was not a terrible delay there. There now is greater success using the efficiency features in communication tools with the AI voice. So, for example, one is able to, in many systems, use word prediction, phrase prediction, pre-stored phrases and sentences, use abbreviated expansion, and even have the AI voice maintained in the system for messages that have been spoken even if you're offline. And this addresses the number one complaint of AAC not being fast enough for real-time communication, especially with alternative access. In our long relationship with many developers of hardware and software, it's been great to see how integrating the AI voice has become a real goal. Here you see in our many back and forths with Speech Assistant, where we highlighted banked messages we're not speaking. They've just proposed creating some additional controls that will be rolled out in the next couple of days. So I began by experimenting in clinic with different AI voice products. I had first signed in for free accounts. I created voice with a couple of different AI companies, and the best quality voice that I had discerned came from 11 Labs. I then tried to manually use my AI voice to create the a cappella script, and that took about 2 hours. And I did that because if I don't have cloud service, I want to have the highest quality on-device voice possible, so hope to be able to create that on-device voice through a cappella. I chose a cappella first because they currently support as many as 25 languages, and I want to make sure that if we can scale this, it has broad application worldwide. They did create a voice out of those files that I had, but I wasn't particularly impressed with the outcomes. I thought the quality wasn't great, and I later learned that it was actually related to the AI product and the fact that what I could hear on the web, and when I downloaded it and used that as the raw material, it actually wasn't the best representation of what AI could do. And we later were able to work on a strategy where we could do it more directly without my having to do all that manual labor. And then I continued to track down leadership of AI companies, and I was able to speak with Maddie, who was one of the co-founders of 11 Labs, who reached out and asked for a meeting to understand exactly what it is I was asking. So my ask was that we are able to work together to create a bridge between 11 Labs AI voice clone for cloud-based personal voice and a cappella, my own voice for on-device personal voice, or any other company for that matter. Also, I wanted to figure out a way to eliminate the noise in the electronic AI files that caused that poor quality outcome by having a more direct method to create the voice. And you see here, I was able to get the leadership and engineers of both companies together, introduce them, and have us talk about what could be done to provide the best options for as many people as possible. They all agreed that they wanted to work together. And I want to point out, they don't need to do this. 11 Labs is about to be valued at $3 billion. There's not a business need for them to be focusing on AI for good, but instead, every single person I've gotten to speak with and engage with has personally been invested in trying to figure out what they can do to help people who are in need. So here's an example of my custom AI voice. There's 30 seconds of me reading without any expression. That's what was used as the raw material. And what you're going to hear is a voice created by a cappella that kind of sounds like I'm a bit depressed. I then did it again with 30 seconds of reading with more intonation, and again created an a cappella voice, which certainly sounds much better as an option for an on-device voice.
Testing this voice.
That was the AI voice. Here's the a cappella.
Testing this voice.
And now with more expression, the AI voice.
Testing this voice.
And the a cappella.
Testing this voice.
Here, Donna is in my office. Her daughters had airdropped to me voicemails sitting in the clinic. I used those to create a voice, an AI voice, and then we tested it out by having it speak something that Donna had said several times during our session. And we're now using that not only to create an on-device voice, but we're able to download those recordings and they can be incorporated into her communication app.
I dragged in your voicemail messages.
Hi, honey. Can you let me know if you... Hi, honey. Can you let me know if you guys are coming for Easter weekend? Hi, honey. Just wanted to wish you and Mike a happy anniversary.
And now I'm going to tell it to generate a message that you've said like 3 times today.
I am going to go shopping to buy stocking stuffers.
What did you think? Oh, my God. Amazing.
This voice sounds, from what you're telling me, more like your pre-ALS voice. So I'm now going to create the entire a cappella recording, all 50 of them, using this voice, will live on the device. So everything you type, even if you're not connected to the cloud, will speak out in that voice.
And here's that automatic process we've
Her friend
created.
shrugged, cuts out the middleman. Either method is effective. The images are real.
This process takes 90 seconds. So we were able to create an AI voice for Mark, and you'll hear his AI voice, his the original voicemail it was created from, the a cappella My Own Voice that was created from the AI, as well as the original a cappella recordings done about a year ago.
Hey, Sherry, give me a call when you have a chance. Thanks. Bye.
So that's the voicemail. Here is the AI voice created from that.
Hey, Sherry, give me a call when you have a chance. Thanks. Bye.
Here is the a cappella My Own Voice created from the AI voice.
Hey, Sherry, give me a call when you have a chance. Thanks. Bye.
Integrated the AI voice into a text-to-speech app here.
I hope you sleep well.
Pre-stored.
How are you this morning?
Pre-stored. Now, would you clear and go to the keyboard and create a message? I did not pay you to say that.
John, you were doing a hell of a job.
Very little delay there. And then in airplane mode, it defaults back to the on-device voice. Okay, so now that you're in airplane mode,
How are you?
it's defaulted back to the on-device voice. Here, Dawn is someone who actually had message banked. So you're first going to hear her banked message talking about getting an ice cream. She had also completed the standard 50 recordings to create an a cappella voice. You're going to hear that second. You are then going to hear an 11 Labs AI voice that we created using only 30 seconds of her banked messages. And then finally, you're going to hear the a cappella voice that was created using those 30 seconds. And by the way, the 11 Labs AI voice that we created sounded like her, but clearer. So it gave us better raw material for creating that a cappella voice again.
An ice cream sundae sounds pretty good right about now.
Actual recording.
An ice cream sundae sounds pretty good right about now.
Standard a cappella.
An ice cream sundae sounds pretty good right about now.
AI.
An ice cream sundae sounds pretty good right about now.
And her new on-device voice. This also can be done in other languages. Here's an example in French. This is a voicemail.
Alex, c'est moi, mon grand. Ben écoute,
Here is the AI voice that was created.
un maire du Pays Basque interdit sa commune aux promeneurs.
And here's the a cappella voice that was created from that AI voice.
J'ai besoin d'aide pour trouver mon livre de mathématiques.
Now created AI voice in multiple languages. Here are just a couple of samples.
Ciao, mi chiamo Marco.
喜悦，今天真是美好的一。
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
But the challenge to on-device voice banking companies is now to develop methods to support more languages. In clinic, we had worked with a gentleman who was dysarthric, and you're going to hear him reading the Rainbow Passage. I used 30 seconds of that to create his AI voice that sounds much clearer. A couple of weeks later, his family actually sent me legacy audio they had from a wedding toast that we used, and you'll hear that as well as and the AI voice created from it.
Strikes raindrop in the air.
I'll fast forward for...
The sunlight strikes raindrops in the air. They act like a prison.
So clearly, sounds like him, but is more intelligible. Here is the audio from the wedding.
I want to thank everyone here for helping us celebrate this magical day.
And here is the AI voice created from 30 seconds of that wedding audio.
This is the voice just created from the wedding video.
Here you see Kathy, we first used voicemail messages to create an AI voice. She gave us some sentences she wanted to create with her AI voice, and you'll see here the messages that she wanted to use for making phone calls. And then we're able to download the custom messages that she wanted created from her AI voice into her communication app, and at the same time now use the AI voice to create an on-device voice.
The
voicemail.
The two facing parking areas that are right at the.
Kathy, don't hang up. I have a condition and I use technology to talk.
AI voice.
Yeah. Honey, I'm right again.
Her husband's idea of something she says all the time.
Honey, I'm right again.
It's like you never left.
And now it's embedded.
Honey, I'm right again.
Here you'll see someone who, when we met her, was severely dysarthric. The only legacy audio they had was her delivering a reading at her daughter's wedding. We were able to extract the audio, clean out the echo from the church, and then use that cleaned out audio to create a voice. The whole process took about 5 minutes.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians.
And we cleaned it.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians.
And then dragged it in.
This is what we created. It only required 30 seconds.
In the office, this gentleman is demonstrating kind of what we do typically, having people read the Rainbow Passage, and I'm just recording it with a Zoom recorder, which is a pretty high quality recorder.
Rainbow is a division of white.
And now we've created it.
No, say it, honey.
I'm super excited to hear my AI-generated voice.
No, play it, John.
I am super excited to hear my AI-generated voice.
Holy.
Had to cut that off. So where do we go from here? 11 Labs and Acapella relationship was finalized earlier this week. Acapella is going to launch a portal on their site along with the Double Dip Personal Voice portal, the Apple Voice portal. We're creating manuals and video tutorials of the process along with all of the Acapella language scripts so that they can be readily available. We will launch trainings for clinics and providers, so this may be scaled broadly in as many languages and as many regions of the world as possible. I want to make it clear that this really is a process that can be done pretty easily in clinic. We are collecting the audio, creating the AI voice. We're uploading the My Own Voice script for on-device voice. We're then implementing the AI voice into people's speech-generating device or apps as appropriate, all in the same clinic appointment. And so our goal really is to make sure this is something that can be done readily in any clinic. And this is just a shameless plug at the end here for the AI survey that many of you have seen the flyers for on your table. Not related to AI and voice, but related to AI and language. Thank you.
I think it's working now. Oh, there we go. John, can I just say, you talk about connection. I've been listening to John for 15 years, and it took me probably 10 to be able to talk to him. And now I feel I can say hi. So, don't be me. Go say hi. That is just astonishing compared to where we started with voice banking. I'm an OT, but all the speeches that I work with, I remember 10 years ago, it was 1,800 phrases, quiet room, special microphone. Just people weren't able to do that. Now, this is just amazing. So we're going to take 5 minutes to ask some questions. We've got a few people running around with microphones. Put your hands up. Oh, I can actually see. That's exciting. So who we got first? Sarah, are you asking a question? I just want to say there's also the chat reader going in the virtual platform, so there will be questions from the virtual audience if needed as well.
Yeah. John, I have a very, very basic question so that if we are talking to people about this and want to describe it, what did the old one use? If it didn't use AI, how did it generate the people's voices?
So it's a really good question. AI has changed and morphed over the years. Indeed, when we went from having 3,000 sentences people needed to record to only having 50 to 150, that efficiency was based upon a form of AI, using deep neural network, using other strategies. This is just taking advantage of the newest options through artificial intelligence.
Hi, I've got some comments from the chat. So Orlando Ruiz from Acela said his voiceover of his video yesterday was his clone voice using 11 Labs from 40-year-old recordings, which is amazing. And a lot of comments about how great the technology is. And then a couple of questions about availability globally. Is it available outside of the US?
Yes. So, and the availability, because there were two different processes I was describing here. I was describing using 11 Labs for creating an AI voice. And indeed, 11 Labs has stepped up in a very robust way to want to provide as many as 1 million voices to people in need. In our clinic, everyone in our clinic, when we see them, we create the voice on the spot. Obviously, everyone is not able to come to our clinic. In the United States, 11 Labs has partnered with Bridging Voice, where they will send out the code, and hopefully our clinical process that we're going to put together and be able to document is going to support people who may not have a clinician in their backyard helping them. On the international level, the Scott Morgan Foundation is providing those 11 Labs codes for anybody who applies through them. And so that also can be used. Then when we switch to creating the on-device voice, because remember, for many, many people, having cellular service is not a readily available option. So when we look at that, right now, as I highlighted, I've been partnering with Acapella because of the broad number of languages that they have. So if someone internationally speaks a language that Acapella supports, there are a couple of different options. Again, in our clinic, we provide all of those codes for Acapella. In the United States, Team Gleason has been an extraordinary resource on so many levels to people with ALS, and they have provided that code. Across the world, I know the MND Association has been providing those codes, and if you go into the Acapella site, there is a spot where there's a drop-down where you can select a funding source based upon where you are in the world.
I certainly know in Australia that the speech pathologists have availability to this. They've been having Zoom meetings with like Richard and Acapella and my own voice. Like, it's been phenomenal already. And, you know, we are in the bottom of the world, so we seem to have managed to keep up with that. Any other questions? I can't see again. So put your hand up and wave. Oh,
while we're waiting for a question, I will also just comment, that process of being able to create the voice, the AI voice, and then immediately create the entire script used for Acapella takes less than 90 seconds. And between that 30 seconds of recording, creating the AI voice, which takes about 2 minutes, and then 90 seconds to create the entire script, it is a process that I truly believe can be part of support for everyone with ALS MND in clinics around the world.
The wedding speech seems to be a really good thing that people have available in terms of recorded voice. I know a few people in Australia have used wedding speeches to create this. Oh, up the back. Norm.
I contacted Acapella to make my voice based on a recording, but they weren't able to do the Quebecois accent.
I heard the first part of that. You had contacted a cappella to create your voice, and I missed the second part. I apologize.
So he said that he contacted a cappella to have a voice created from a recording, but they were unable to do the Quebecois accent.
They were unable to do it because?
Because of the accent that we have here in Quebec.
Golly,
Interesting.
if they can do Australian, they should be able to do Quebec.
I would like to sit down with you in the hallway a bit later. And I do not believe, it may not sound perfect. You heard my on-device voice was not perfect, but I feel confident based upon what we continuously do in clinic 12 times a week now in new evaluations with people with ALS that we can create something.
We've probably got time for one more quick question, which I can see a hand up over there.
Hi, so I'm an SLP in Canada here. And you're speaking about the codes that are available in the US and some internationally. I just did a very quick search, and I know that the MND Association does look like they provide codes for the UK and Ireland and whatnot. What about Canada? Do you know if there's any availability to access these codes for Canadians?
Yeah, and I believe that is where going through the Scott Morgan Foundation will support you. Sure.
Oh, very quick. I'm on time.
Just wondering if you have any experience working with singers and using this voice.
That's a phenomenal question. I can say there's a lot in process. There's a lot of hope. I've been very fortunate over the years to work with several award-winning Broadway people and other performers where up until this point, it's been very difficult, but I know that there continues to be a focus. It is a goal of several sources.
Amazing. Well, we'll have to wrap that up. Thank you, John. See, I can be his friend now. So up next, please welcome Melinda Kavanagh and Melissa Enfinger for their presentation on ALS, MND, Mental Health Referral Network.
Good morning. By a quick show of hands, out of curiosity, how many providers in the room have ever struggled, had difficulty finding mental health care for any of their people living with ALS or their caregivers? Yep. That remains and consistently remains to be one of the biggest issues that we have in our ALS community, is not only accessing care, but making sure that our mental health providers have information about the disease experience, and about the experience of the family and caregivers. Hold, please. Can I get my little cheat video here? Because I can't really see the screen. Everybody talk amongst yourselves for a second. So anyway, all right, well, I'll just move forward. First of all, I'm gonna go back a second because I wanna be really clear that I am up here presenting this, but I am by no means the person who did it. And this is a really fantastic collaboration between myself, Mental Health America in Montgomery, Alabama, and the ALS Association. So it's a true partnership with community organization, disease organization, and research. And I'm incredibly proud to be a part of it. So that's not there, but I'm just gonna keep looking sideways. Now this isn't working. Like, okay. Well, I know what I'm gonna say anyway. So we did a program that was informed by, oh, here we go. Is this one not working?
I don't know.
Did you do that on purpose? Good morning. So this quote was by someone living with ALS in one of the support groups in Alabama. And I think that well encapsulates the experience of people living with ALS, that if they have to spend too much time and energy telling their therapist about what ALS is, what the experience is, then it often kind of negates I'm not touching anything. Do I get extra time? Okay. You know, I'm kind of tired. I don't know if I drank enough coffee to be able to just riff. Does this work? Oh, yeah, okay. I can look up here. That's okay if that doesn't work. Okay. So thank you to MT Pharma America for supporting this program. This is the slide I was on. So it takes too much energy to have to explain ALS to a therapist. We know that mental health provision, mental health services, myself being a licensed clinical social worker, that value of it is critical, but we also know, A, we don't have enough mental health providers, and 2, we know that we don't have enough trained mental health providers to really be able to have those deep conversations. So as I was saying earlier, this is a partnership, and through multiple professional meetings and sitting down with people living with ALS in a support group in Alabama and just saying, what is it that you would like a therapist to be able to know in order to support you? What kinds of resources do you need from a mental health therapist that they need to be trained in providing you, right? So through all of these interviews, we decided to come up with the ALS Mental Health Referral Network. And what we hope to be able to do with this is expand well beyond the United States, well into global reach, to really be able to educate those mental health providers in what the process of ALS is and how ALS is impacting the family, right? So the goals of the program were to do a couple of different webinars. We wanted to do one first to see like what kind of content is important, who will attend, and who will be providing that content. And the goals of the initial webinar were really thinking about supporting people with ALS, understanding grief and loss in ALS, not just with the person living with ALS, but with their family members as well. And the impact of the family, the caregiver perspective, including those children and youth. I can't say how many times over the years I've been approached, because of the work I do with children and youth, by individuals, by family members saying, do you know a therapist who understands the children's experience in ALS? And it's a shame because I don't know enough to be able to pass out information to all the people that ask me. So we got together a group of healthcare professionals, chaplains, social work, folks who work in the ALS Association, Melissa Enfinger, to deliver the first webinar and just get a sense of what might work and what might be we need to add to it. So after the first one, we realized, hey, we think we have something coming here. So the second session we did just recently, earlier in 2024, and we used the same format. So it was a webinar. It had an introduction to ALS, overview, what the disease is, and then we had multiple speakers, again, presenting about this is how people talk about their experience with ALS, both as a person living with it and their family caregiver. And here are resources. So therapist, whoever you are, licensed clinical social worker, LMFT, here are resources that you can then pass on to the person that you're working with. And the people who attended the second webinar, we had quite a few social workers, We had licensed mental marriage and family therapists. We had psychology. We had nursing. And then we had a lot of clinical staff, some of whom already work with the ALS Association. But we also had clinical staff who are not affiliated at all with the ALS Association, but who were interested in being a part of this webinar so that they could help their mental health providers. So we had a really nice cross-section of folks who participated in that second webinar. We had 37 people complete the pre and 30 complete the post out of the 78 individuals who participated in the webinar. So I'm going to go through some of the results to really get a sense of what their thoughts were relating to how they can take this information into their own practice. And does it impact their confidence in working with people living with ALS and their family members? Because that's really critical. It's one thing to be able to attend a webinar and say, yeah, that's cool, but it's another thing to say, yeah, I think it really actually impacts me and my practice, and I feel more confident in accepting a referral from someone living with ALS, or I feel more confident engaging with an organization that serves families living with ALS. So one of the first questions we asked is that knowledge of ALS, did it change post participating in the webinar? And the majority of people felt yes, it did. And then we asked how. How did that change? What changed about it? And it was really nice because it helped them understand the connection between ALS and mental health. Now, we all get that. Right? We all get that in this room, but we're talking about people who have no knowledge of really what that connection may or may not be, and they're getting that, wait a minute, there's a very important mental health piece in dealing with and living with and providing care for ALS. They also felt a real shift in the impact on the family members, knowledge of resources, and really the ability to help develop new strategies for intervention. So as people living with ALS are referred to them, they felt that they could actually implement some of these new strategies. And are they going to use it in their future practice? Thankfully, yes. They really felt that they absolutely could use it in their future practice, that they wanted to be able to include a discussion of children and children's resources, that they wanted to develop new ways of working with ALS, and they also wanted to be able to make and engage in those resource referrals. Now, did it also make you more interested in working with people with ALS and their family members and their caregivers? You know, we know that as mental health providers or as other providers, you know, you often get bombarded with referrals. And sometimes it's like, oh, you know, do I feel confident, but do I really feel genuinely interested and or excited in doing it? And they really did. They commented a lot on making sure that what they're doing integrated the family and the family perspective, that they wanted to talk more about couple and family therapy. They wanted to ensure that the person receives proper services, recognizing that gap, recognizing their education gap in what they do and don't know about ALS. And looking at the confidence, right? So do they feel as though they have increased their confidence in engaging with people living with ALS, with their family caregivers, but also do they have confidence in being able to accurately make resource referrals? Do they have that confidence in saying, I know opportunity X exists. I know organization Y exists. And we saw a significant change from pre to post in these areas of confidence, which is really spectacular because that's what seeks or gets our mental health providers across professions interested in reaching out and saying, yes, I want to connect with this ALS organization or that MND organization to provide these mental health services. So we are incredibly pleased at this very small pilot project. This is by no means the biggest data collection at all, but we are incredibly encouraged and feel very positive that something as simple as providing a webinar that includes information about the disease itself, the process by which families engage around the disease, the experience, the need for resources for family members, from people living with ALS to their children. We feel incredibly encouraged that the results really show that it did make a difference, and that there is that increase in confidence, and that we're providing that opportunity to make a change in their practice. Our next step, so we're about to send out a follow-up survey to see what happened next over time. Was this just a little bump because you did this really cool webinar and you feel good about it? Or does it really make a difference? Have you changed your practice in some way, shape, or form to be more inclusive to ALS, to people living with ALS, to their family caregivers? At the end of our survey, we asked them, okay, so we thought these were really cool topics. What do you think are important topics for a next webinar? And these were some of the topics, and they were absolutely fantastic. ALS and trauma. I mean, these are therapists who are saying, I need more information in this. And I feel like I'm having these conversations in other settings, but I know that it's going to be important in the ALS world. So ALS and trauma, caregiver stress and burnout. We talked about that yesterday. Absolutely critical. I would love to see more mental health providers really kind of strengthened in that area and willing and confident and engaged. Also co-occurring mental health disorders, further resources for caregivers, dealing with ALS and FTD, and finally, intimacy in ALS. And this came up multiple times and is so critical that we just get all weird and squeamish about it, but therapists do as well. But they want to be able to be comfortable and talk about, like, what is intimacy? What is sex? What does all of that look like with someone who is living with an illness like ALS? And then also really continuing to promote the network. We are incredibly proud of it. We're looking to do multiple new webinars, and we want more partners. We absolutely want more partners, because the goal is not to just train a subset. The goal is world domination, and it's about getting all the mental health providers out there engaged, yes, engaged, because we know how critical that mental health care is for all of our people in families with ALS. So that is the end. And thank you all for being so patient with all the weird. Did you give me extra time?
I gave you 1 minute.
Oh, nice. That's such a good friend. But that is it. I am really happy to take questions. I want to put the contact information up here. So that's me, but really Melissa Enfinger, who is online, who was unable to attend today, is spectacular. And she is a force to be reckoned with, and really worked incredibly hard to put this together with the Mental Health America in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, if you're from the US, that's the southern part of the US. It's not exactly resource rich. So the fact that they engaged and really dove in is exciting. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you, Melissa, wherever you are. I would just like to say that I think the intimacy in ALS, MND is something that in Australia I talk about a lot. You know, my two favorite ADLs, smoking and sex. So I'd be well up for adding an international flavour to anything that you're doing.
Yep.
So we've got a few minutes for questions over there.
Do you, in the mental health, there's such a different need when someone is first diagnosed, both on the PALS and the CALS side, and as you know, once someone's on a feeding tube, a respirator, and can't move, entirely different set of mental health problems, or challenges in that area. Does it cover the whole gamut? And then the second part of that is anxiety seems to be part of the disease. At the beginning, people are not all that anxious, but as all of you know who have worked with a lot of PALS, you've got these strong, confident people that have never been anxious in their life, and part of this disease progression in some cases seems to be that massive increase in anxiety?
Excellent question. So for sure, the goal of the program isn't to say we want mental health providers engaged at only one point of the disease process. The goal is to say this is what happens with ALS over time, from prior to diagnosis, post-diagnosis. Absolutely. It's about understanding the continuum. What are some of the changes? What are some of the flexibility points throughout the process? So completely. And whether it's depression, anxiety, caregiver stress, whatever it is, those are all absolutely included in this program.
Thank you.
Probably have time for just one more question.
I've got one. And this actually kind of goes along with that. Mindy Erlob from End the Legacy. And I'm wondering, on the continuum in terms of ALS, there are people who are at genetic risk, and I'm wondering if this acknowledges us and if we're included in this in terms of mental health.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that we recognize is that we've just done a small pilot. Right? This was first, like, will it work? Will people attend? Does it make a difference? And in that list, those were the things that the therapists suggested. But we also have our own suggestions as well. And living at genetic risk is 100% part of that. And, you know, small plug to my partnership with ALS Canada in developing a whole program for children and youth, how to talk to children and youth about genetic risk. And we're going to be integrating that into this program as well for mental health providers to be able to have that information that, wait a minute, you might be talking with children, you might be talking with young adults, you might be talking with older adults who are at risk. Yes, it's an excellent question.
I think we have to wrap it up there, but thank you, Melinda.
You're welcome.
Just a little message. Don't forget to go and have a look in the Experiential Life suite, which is up in level 7. Some amazing stuff up there, including some very good intimacy aids. So just saying. Now we're into our third speakers for the morning. We welcome Corey Libby and Liz Stanley for their presentation, The Art of Living Well, the ALS Association's Creative Pursuits Program. Take it away.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for having us here today. As I said, I am Corey Libby. I'm the Care Services Director for Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota of the United States. I'm an occupational therapist by background, and I'm accompanied today by my colleague and dear friend, Liz Stanley, who is our Creative Arts Program Manager, as well as an art teacher by background. We're excited to be here today to share with you a new program that we have developed for people living with ALS. We are hoping to introduce you to our new program, the Creative Pursuits, as well as discuss our program goals, feedback that we have gotten from participants, share program opportunities, and examples of work that has been done, as well as the resources that we use to develop this program. This is Ken Baltus. Ken is the vision of this program. Ken approached many of us in this room, super excited. He felt very strongly that art was needed, or creative outlets were needed for people living with ALS. He was an artist by background. He was diagnosed with ALS in 2019, and he actually developed his art through a variety of outlets, but mostly painting. He initially started by painting with his right hand, eventually had to progress to painting with his left hand, and then eventually got to using eye gaze to create art in the final stages of his disease. His goal was to create opportunities for people living with ALS so that they could continue to live fully by improving their quality of life, as well as the quality of life of their caregivers. Unfortunately, Ken died in 2022 before this program was launched. But he was determined to make this program a success. And he pulled together a group of friends and family, as well as myself, to develop this program. When his wife likes to share that on his last day, he was not very responsive, but a couple of his friends from the committee visited him. And when they visited him, he came alive and just was very adamant on the things that they needed to do to make sure that this program was carried out. So we are proud to announce that we launched this program in 2023 locally to 5 states in the United States, and now are able to offer these opportunities virtually to everybody in the United States living with ALS and their caregivers. As an OT, you can understand that I understood the importance of having purposeful activities as an outlet, but I told Ken we really need something that will allow us to have a solid foundation for this program. So a couple days later, Ken calls me excitedly and says, "Corey, I've got it. Maslow's hierarchy of needs." Yes, he woke his wife up in the middle of the night to share with her as well. So I said, I can understand this, I get this. So I did a deep dive into the programs and supports that we were offering through the association, and I found that we were really focusing on safety and the physiological needs of those we served. We were starting to get into the love and belonging by offering support groups and peer connection. But this would allow us to really meet those top 2 human needs, esteem and self-actualization. This also allowed us to outline our program goals. The goals of the Creative Pursuits program is to allow self-expression, enhance self-confidence, ease anxiety, enhance social interactions and peer support, provide meaningful diversion from the challenges of living with ALS, and provide adaptive tools and techniques to accommodate a wide range of physical abilities. I'm not going to read all of the statements on the screen, but I do want to share that we did develop a program survey to assess how this program was meeting the needs of those we served. So as you can see from the comments on the screen, we are definitely meeting those needs. But in addition to these testimonials, we have gotten 59 survey responses to date. 95% of program participants say that this program provides meaningful diversion from the challenges of living with ALS, and 81% say that it enhances their social interactions and peer support. None of this would have been possible without my dear friend and colleague, Liz Stanley here. She is the manager of the program, and she's going to share a little bit more about the program's offering, as well as share some of the amazing work of those that participated.
Thank you, Corey. Okay, so, nope, I need to go back. Which way? This? Yes, okay, sorry. Okay, so most of our classes are offered online and across the nation. Some of the classes are one-offs, but many meet 2, 3, or 4 sessions, which helps to build the sense of community. I work with a combination of paid and volunteer facilitators, and I teach some of the classes as well. As you can see from this list, I have tried to cover a broad range of options, all beneficial to the mind and body, so participants may find at least one option, hopefully, that interests them. But I will say that most participants, they sign up for multiple classes. So once they get in one, they kind of sign up for more. I'd like to share with you some of the science behind the choices that we offer. So sorry, they're not on the screen. I'm just going to literally read off a bunch of facts. So bear with me. But these facts come from the book, Your Brain on Art, How the Arts Transform Us by Susan Magsamen and Ivy Ross, in which these authors have compiled many studies on the arts into an easy-to-read manual of sorts. So I always try to offer poetry, fiction, and nonfiction writing because expressive writing can reduce blood pressure, lower stress hormone levels, lessen pain, improve immune function, and alleviate depression, all while heightening self-awareness, improving relationships, and increasing our ability to cope with challenges. Music concerts and music creation are some of the classes I offer, and they're valuable on so many levels, but one that stands out is that sound vibration has the capacity to return the body to homeostasis and out of fight, flight, freeze reaction. I offer various visual arts classes such as hands-free digital art, creating art with AI, other tactile and digital art options, because just 20 minutes of any art activity, including coloring and scribbling, is enough to lower cortisol, reduce stress, and leaves you feeling calmer and more content. So you should all just scribble, okay? As they say, laughter is the best medicine, and studies actually confirm that it boosts dopamine, serotonin, and the same kinds of endorphins released in response to sex, food, and exercise. So I listened to the requests of folks in support groups when I first began the process of creating this program, and I offer comedy classes where we get together, share jokes, play games, and laugh. Viewing art triggers a neurochemical exchange that leads to a release of emotion that leaves you feeling more connected to yourself and others, and is one of the most meditative practices. Therefore, I offer online museum tours for those who cannot attend our in-person tours. Just 20 minutes in nature per day, or a total of 2 hours per week, significantly lowers cortisol levels and boosts your immune system. So I asked our in-person nature immersion guide to create audio guides in 20-minute and 2-hour increments so that all people living with ALS and their caregivers may use them from either inside their home, in their garden, or a nearby park. Nature immersion is another way of saying forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku, the Japanese art form, which translates into taking in the forest air with all of your senses. And we also offer social clubs focused on writing, visual arts, and books that meet once a month, where folks can get together and get to know others with shared interests. We also offer writing and visual arts classes for caregivers. The image on the screen is a game that we played in one of the comedy classes where we had to make up a funny caption or story for an image. As you can see, this one triggered a slew of hilarious responses. So 2 of the most important pieces of building this program are finding the right partners and facilitators to offer valuable opportunities for creation, as I just mentioned. And also the other problem is to, solve the problem of developing new ways to allow participants to continue creating. Over the next few slides, I'm going to share with you a few unique ideas that allow people living with ALS to continue enjoying creating art. This device I created that was inspired by a visit to Art Abilities in Rochester, Minnesota, where I saw a similar device being used. The purpose basically is to provide just a fun and simple way to create art for folks using a power wheelchair. All you need is a large box, some paint, tape, paper, and marbles. The artist can bump into the box with their wheelchair, making the marbles move, pulling the paint across the paper. This artist didn't think he was an artist. He never enjoyed making art growing up, and he was very adamant, I am not an artist, I don't like making art. But we convinced him to try it, and he had so much fun just laughing and having a blast with his caregiver driving super fast, bumping into this, or just kind of tapping it lightly to see what happened. He's really proud of this piece that he created. I also saw a need for more creative tools to enable hands-free art making besides the high-tech options like eye gaze or head mice. This is a device I created with the help of a 3D designer based on a tool used by the artist Anastasia Wilson. I came across her work and methods in my research and had the privilege to meet with her in person and study her homemade device on a trip to Madison, Wisconsin. This foam grip on the end can hold a pencil, marker, paintbrush, or any other tool, and can be just kind of easily switched out. We found that this device works a little bit more comfortably when using an elevated canvas, providing less fatigue, just a better angle to reach the paper. We call this tool the Hummingbird, because the artist pictured here said she felt like a hummingbird while she was using it. I work with another incredible artist who transitioned to painting by holding a brush between her toes last winter. She had tried painting with holding a brush in her mouth, and it created severe migraines, so it just wasn't something that she could go back to. So we found this as a new technique for her to try. She really kind of latched on and enjoyed it. She has created over a dozen finished paintings, and you can see one of her amazing pieces here. She was experiencing a great deal of fatigue, though, in her leg muscles from painting for hours at a time. She would sit down and paint for 4 to 6 hours a day. So I reached out to William Janes at the University of Missouri's Occupational Therapy Department, who had made other adaptive 3D printed tools for my colleagues in the Southern Midwest. And I worked with him to develop this support system to lessen the fatigue and allow her to continue painting for long periods of time. James and his team have been just excellent listeners and working with all of our feedback to improve this design. We're on the second iteration. It's still a work in progress, but we're getting there. And it is just another example of how we can really come together and create some of these unique tools that support a wide range of artistic needs. And I think there's a little video of her working. Not very high quality, but you get the idea. Okay. So to wrap things up, I want to share with you, we recently celebrated our 1-year anniversary with an in-person exhibit of participant work in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. As you can see images here. I also created an online gallery to share this celebration with our participants across the country, which includes everything we displayed in person. If you scan the QR code to view this gallery, you will see a wide range of artistic voices in the form of visual arts, written pieces, and music. Artist statements are also included, allowing you to learn some about each artist and their unique work and methods. Some of these pieces from the show are available to purchase at our table out in the hall. And yeah, I hope you stop by to view them, but also check out some of the other adaptive tools and things that we use for this program. So thank you all for listening. We hope that this inspires you to develop programs like this in your countries as well. We're happy to answer any questions along the way. And feel free to reach out to us at this contact information. Come and grab our business cards from the table, or scan the QR code here on this page to be taken to our website and learn a little bit more about the program and see what we are currently offering. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that's the slide I was talking about.
Thank you so much. As an OT, this makes my heart so happy. I think we all get so caught up in the base, those bottom couple of bits of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we forget the top bits, and it just makes my little OT heart so happy. I'll just check first if there's any questions from the virtual attendees. I don't think there is, so we'll go straight. Oh, sorry, someone behind you's already got a mic.
Thank you. This is so relevant. This just literally came up in one of our support groups, and the support group meeting actually ended up being more about art than the disease, which was a beautiful thing. 2 questions for you. Do you integrate caregivers and people living with the disease in the same sessions? And second question is, any tips on sculpture?
On what? What was the last?
Sculpture.
It's probably a whole talk in itself.
Yeah, sculpture. One of the clients in the support group, he is a sculptor, and as he's losing functionality in his hands, he's trying to figure out how he can continue to sculpt.
Yeah, I think that would depend on the medium that he's using to sculpt with, but I'm happy to troubleshoot that and see. If you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to kind of solve these one-on-one problems.
Amazing.
I haven't worked with a sculptor yet, so I'm always up for that new challenge. As far as caregivers and people living with ALS combined, that does happen in some of the classes. So like the comedy classes, we do have a few caregivers joining in, and then sometimes caregivers decide to use the art materials as well for some of the other classes, and I can't stop what what they do. They're online in some other state, so happy the more people who want to participate. But we do also have separate classes for caregivers alone.
Awesome, thank you.
I think there was a question down here. If someone's got a mic. Oh, there we go.
Just congratulations. It's such a beautiful thing that you've taken on here, and what a tribute to the gentleman who was persistent in asking. My question is, sending out the art materials, you can't figure out the adaptation that everybody would need. So how are you working with individual needs when I'm assuming a lot of these people aren't artists with experience, they're people living life? So how does that online version work? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a tricky bit, but we do have some artists who have been painters in the past, and then again, like you said, some people who are novice. And this is the first time they're creating. They might not know what they need exactly. I do have part of the registration form is kind of a survey asking some of the tools that they use, and then also asking just like an open-ended question of how can I support you? And I get a lot of really good answers from that. And then I just kind of go from there. If I don't know the person and they're not from our local kind of chapter, then I'm going to probably call them or email them and connect with them one-on-one, have those conversations, try to figure out what I can send that would best support them. And then, kind of go from there.
Beautiful, thank you.
And I will just add to that, that is a thing that is ongoing, right? So a lot of the participants know, and I remind them a lot, like, you let me know if what you have right now isn't working for you anymore, and we'll find a new way. So.
Probably got time for, up the back there. Sorry, I can't see very well.
Hi, I'm Max. I know we spoke a little bit yesterday, but I was wondering, do you have art therapists on hand, or do you provide education to other art therapists, recreation therapists? I feel like this is something our patients could so benefit from. I don't know if it's within their scopes of practice to adopt art for people, but yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have art therapists necessarily on hand. One of the teachers that teaches the Art for Healing classes is certified as an art therapist. in a very specific technique. And so, you know, her guidance through that class is really phenomenal. But yeah, no, I don't currently work with art therapists or train them, but I am very happy to meet with anyone who wants to learn more.
Let's just hope your amazing program inspires other people to develop this kind of program where they are. Because no more questions. So I just wanted to say an amazing thank you from my OT to my OT and my art therapist. Happy heart. Now, given this session is around looking after us and all the people that we work with, we're going to take a moment for our own mental health. So I'd like to invite Linda Levine to join me to lead us in a mindful exercise.
Chat among yourselves for a moment, please. Hi, everyone. Like a bad cold, I'm back. To the folks online, I'm going to ask you to go and get something small that you can participate with us. I've got raisins on the tables here, but if you have a cookie or a piece of chocolate, any of that would work. So while you go and get something small to do this experience with, I'm just going to say a few thank yous. Thank you to everyone in the room. Yesterday, David and I were talking about how incredibly embraced we feel as a patient fellow and a caregiver, and it's just been truly amazing. Also, lots and lots of you were generously inviting me to foreign lands. And I'm a little overwhelmed that I don't remember all the people I spoke to. So on your table is my card, and I would love everybody to take a picture of my card. And if you need a keynote speaker or someone for a conference, I'm very excited to go to Hungary, Kenya, Mexico, Holland, Australia. I'm excited, and David says that he'll come and be my caregiver as I run around. Okay, so on your table with the card are also raisins, and we're going to do a little mindfulness activity. So Mark Twain said, 85% of what people worry about never happens. Raise your hand if you've heard that before. Raise your hand if that matters at all to you. No, we all just worry, 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 right? Well, Cornell did a study on this idea, and in fact, 85% of what we worry about never happens. So at the turn of last century, Mark Twain said this, it was tested recently, and for sure, it's true. Then, of the 15% of the things that actually do happen, 79% of them are not a big a deal like you thought it would be. When you were worrying about it, you realize you've had life experience that prepared you for it. Or you've turned it into a life experience that you've gotten a lesson from. And as you report this bad thing that happened, you also report the lesson. So that leaves 3% of things you worry about that actually do happen, and there's nothing you can do about it anyway. So I would just ask you to take in a deep breath and release, and realize worry is not getting us anywhere. But the fact is, worry is something that happens when we think about something specific. But worry builds. We build and build and build our worries into anxiety. How many of you don't have to admit having it, but maybe know somebody with some anxiety? Know somebody on meds for anxiety? Are really grateful for meds for anxiety? Awesome. So what we're going to do now is actually very similar to what Liz was talking about in terms of forest bathing. What it is we're going to take all of our senses and bring them to the present moment. So do you love my roadie here? He's right here. Hi, honey. Okay, what I'd like you to do is reach for the raisins. And we're going to use our 5 senses here. Please don't gobble them down. This is mindfulness. All right, right now I'd like you to look at the raisins and I'd like you to shout out a descriptor. What do you see in the box? Shout it out. Say again. Letters, colors, red. Oh, the sun. A woman, and I have a fun, bizarre fact about this woman. When I was teaching at San Jose State, we played that game, 2 Truths and a Lie. Do you know that game? And this student in my class used as one of her phrases, the woman on the sun-made raisins box is my great-grandmother. And we're like, lie. It was true. This photo or whatever it is started in Italy, and her great-grandmother was this woman, which I just thought was amazing. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is somebody open the box. And I'd like you to pass the box around. You're not on candid camera. Nobody's watching you sniff raisins. And I'd like you to shout out descriptors of what this smells like. Oh, yeah. Sweet. Ooh, I like that one. Spread it all around. Ooh, musty. I bought them yesterday. They can't be musty. Nice. Okay, lovely. All right. Now, the person with the longest hair is now your fearless leader. I would like the person with the longest hair to hygienically pour 1 raisin into everybody's hand. So everybody at the table gets 1 raisin. Don't eat it. Again, we're looking at this raisin. Shout out words that describe it. Wrinkly, brown, oh, burgundy, wrinkled. What else? Sticky, small. Oh, awesome. Great. All right, now I'd like you to put it up to your ear and listen to it. I just wanted to see if you'd do it. That was awesome. Thank you. I feel like our trust is broken now because I did that to you. Great. So sight, sound, touch now. So close your eyes. Shh. Shout out words that describe the feeling of this raisin. Sticky, wrinkly, sticky, gross. I heard gross, that's funny. Oh, interesting. Nice. All right. So we've used our eyes, our ears, our nose, our fingers, and now I'd like you to taste, but not the whole thing, just a teeny bit. Move it around in your mouth. What do you taste? Sweet? There's more texture than you expected. I think I need a little bit more. Again with the musty. I swear I bought them yesterday. My mouth can tell that they're softer in the middle than on the outside. They're like a bagel, right? Some of you have faces like this. Like you fondled this thing to death and now you're supposed to eat it, right? All right, now you have the luxury of eating the whole thing. All right, just like forest bathing, we all came right to this moment. We used our senses to concentrate on such an ordinary thing. For those of you at home, it might be the cookie, the chocolate. For all of you here, it's a raisin. And I just want to generously say that you all can eat all the raisins I provided. Don't worry, you can thank me later. There you go. But you came to the moment, and right now you're not thinking about your middle kid flunking algebra. You're not thinking about nuclear arms. You're thinking about what is right here. So I would just invite you at this time to think of ways that you can support yourself in anxiety. I shared yesterday that when I go to the clinic, multidisciplinary teams, I have this smooth touchstone. It's a piece of wood in the shape of a heart that an artist made, and that is my go-to multidisciplinary team heart. And I hold it and I rub it, and I have touch happening at the same time as I'm hearing whatever it is I'm hearing. I also have some, what are they called? Oils? Scented oils. And I'm not a big scented oil guru, and I don't work for doTERRA, and I'm not trying to sell you or any of that. But I have lavender oil, and what I do is when I feel my anxiety rising, like when David and I were in Washington and we were supposed to speak to Congress people and senators about ALS, I was like, okay, who am I and why am I here? Because just putting some of this under my nose brought me to the present moment. So when you're at work, and you have that special client who you love so much, and they're getting worse, and you're meeting with them, and your heart is breaking, take a break. Walk outside. Do a vision meditation. Just look. And say to yourself, yellow flower, light green leaf, bunny hopping by, or a hearing meditation. And bring yourself to the present moment, because what you are doing is amazing, and you deserve to pull your anxiety back, breathe, and know you are helping people in an amazing way. Thank you for a mindful moment.
Thank you, Linda. was, I think, such a good reminder for all of us to take a minute. I know where I work, our volunteers make they make velvet hearts, like little hearts that some patients will take with them, but I think I'm going to encourage the therapists to use it as well. If anyone has any questions, we do have time for a couple of questions before the break. I think you cover, oh, nope, there is one. Can't see very well, sorry.
Not a question, but Melissa Enfinger says a therapist told her once, worry's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but doesn't get you anywhere.
Can you repeat that louder, straight into the mic?
Yeah, sorry. So Melissa Enfinger shared that a therapist once told her, worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone's got one more question, please put your hand up because I can't see.
If there aren't more questions, I'm curious, is there anything that you do in the middle of your hectic day that brings you back to the center? We have a couple minutes, right?
We've got one over there.
Wait, there's a mic coming.
Hello, everyone. My name is Donna Sickles. I'm the respiratory therapist at the ALS Hope Foundation. And one of the things as a respiratory therapist that I tell my patients and even their caregivers to breath stack. When you're feeling high anxiety, you have to stop, you have to think, you have to breathe. So that's the best time, in my opinion, to do your breath stacking. So does everyone here know what breath stacking is?
No, please share.
So breath stacking is so you can expand your lung volume, and not every one of our patients can do that in one big sigh breath. They don't have the energy to do it. So you can all do it with me right now.
Please,
we like
love
to
it.
do it in a sitting position where your diaphragm is in the best position when you're breathing, and you're going to sniff in your nose, and you're going, I can't talk and do it at the same time. So it's exactly what it is. Sniffing, stacking your breath until your lungs feel completely full. Once they are completely full, you're going to exhale through your mouth nice and slow. So it's almost therapeutic. You do this 3 to 5 times in one session. We say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or if you're feeling a little anxious, slow your breathing down and breath stack.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Okay, Jennifer Dudo and Mary Paloon, hi. They're online. We have to say hello.
If anyone's got, one more, then there's coffee.
Hello, I'm Renee. I'm a speech pathologist at the University of Virginia. For me, I think about, in a busy clinic day, how I can be present for each person when I'm seeing, upwards of 12 patients in a day. And I use the knock on the patient's door as the moment to take a deep breath and recenter myself and become present. So when I walk in, I am not thinking about the last person I just saw.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
All right, I think we're going to have to wrap it up there for this morning session. If anyone's got any more comments or questions for Linda, she'll be out having coffee. So that then takes us to the end of this morning's session. So thank you for everyone for having me as your moderator. Thank you to the people online for listening. We will now take a short break. Please go and buy some raffle tickets. Please go up and see the Life Suite up on level 7. And we'll see you back here at 10:50 for the next session of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.